Hey, so Nico has asked if I would just share a little bit about my time at Livelong Zoo. So for those of you who don't know, I just spent 8 months in Johannesburg at Livelong Zoo, which is connected with Live Durban, where I did my gap year. But it's just in Joburg instead. I did it as a placement year at university, so I'm studying at Bath and I'm studying education with psychology. But I so the way my course works is that you do your first 2 years and then you can do an optional placement year, and then you go on and you do your final year. So I decided to go to Livelong Zoo for my placement year, and I just thought I'd share a little bit about a few things with you guys, stuff that I learned, stuff that I found challenging, stuff that I enjoyed, and yeah, just everything else in between basically. So Livelong Zoo is very different to Live Durban. So Livelong Zoo, there are only about 20 to 23 children, and it's currently not registered as a child and youth care centre. So they're coming up and they're trying to make it a child and youth care centre because it gives them a lot more rights to do with fostering the children. So it's very, very different. It's very small. It's a really small, lovely family. And there are two sides to the river. So the village is split by a river, called the Crocodile River. And on the one side is the office and the houses of the families, like at Live Durban, where you have a foster unit of, at Livelong Zoo, it's 2 parents and then their children, both biological and foster. And then on the other side of the river, you have the ECD, which is the preschool, and then you have the baby home, which cares for children going on to be adopted. And then we have an amazing community aftercare centre. So there's lots going on. I think one of the things I loved about Livelong Zoo more than I felt at Live Durban was the community of people there. I think there's a lot more outreach into the community, and I'll just speak about that a little bit later, but there's a lot more outreach into the community, and actually it's really well connected in with the local community called Joe Slovo. So Joe Slovo has about 1,500 people living there, and it's an informal settlement, and between them they have 11 water taps, and they have no electricity, and no running water. So it's definitely great that we're able to partner with them in a lot of the things that we do with the aftercare. And with Kids Club on a Saturday morning, the kids would come through, and I think for me that was one of my highlights, was going up into Joe Slovo and actually just collecting the kids to come and be at Kids Club. We would go and collect them and then have a little train of them walking through the streets of Joe Slovo, and it would be one of my favourite parts of being there, I think. I knew from the first day that I was there that I loved it, and that I wanted to be back. And I think it's obviously COVID did affect us in some ways, but actually God taught me a lot while I was out there about being thankful, and about being present and being here now, and being where he's placed you to be, where you are. So like I really wanted to be in the moment, like embracing everything that God had done in the last, like what just each day. And for that, it actually meant during lockdown we became a lot busier because we locked down as a village before the nation locked down, which was hard because it meant that we couldn't see friends and we couldn't go out and do social stuff. But actually it also meant that I initially went out there to work with the social worker, to shadow her and to learn about social work. And I learned a lot of things about social work, and I think the main thing that I learned from the lady the social worker I was working with, Kate, is that empowering people to do things for themselves is so much more valuable than just doing it for them. And I'm not a patient person, and so that's quite hard for me. So that was a really great lesson to learn. And I think I also learned that actually there's always need, and there's always a need. There's always something that needs to be done. There's always a role that needs to be filled. And actually, I can't always do that. And I can't always fill that role. And that felt really difficult for me moving into COVID, because actually I was then spending less time with Kate and I had less opportunities in the social department. But it meant that I was able to spend time with every single age group of children. So I ended up in a daycare for the preschoolers while the ECD, or the children's centre, was closed. And I basically like ran this preschool with this other teacher for 3 weeks, roughly about 3 weeks. Definitely a challenge. But it meant that I bonded with those younger kids that I might not have bonded with otherwise. It meant that I got to spend time with the preteens, just being in their space. And I think that's also something God really taught me, is actually just being in someone's space and just being, not trying to change it or impact it or influence it, just being there and being present and being in the moment and just embracing whatever is happening. And yeah, there were difficult times, and actually I got injured while I was out there right at the beginning, and I love this quotation that I found on Instagram, and it says, God killed my pride by teaching me to receive. And I think that was so prevalent for me, because I wanted to do everything. I wanted to be the best at the role I was doing. And that changed a lot during COVID, and it changed a lot every day. It was never the same each day. And I think I also learned a lot about actually what does it mean to embrace the journey that God is taking you on? What does it mean to press into the process, and what does it look like to actually embrace that, and embrace it as a blessing, and embrace it as a joy, and see it as a blessing. And the whole idea of seeing God's blessings just really struck me while I was out there. And I think that's just something that I really, really learned. I also learned a lot about trust. I had to learn to trust God every day. I had no idea what I was really doing. I had no qualifications, and I had to trust that actually God would qualify me to do the things that I was being called to do. And he also taught me that home is a state of my heart. Home isn't a place. Home isn't a building. It's a state of my heart that actually my home needs to be in Jesus. And actually my home is wherever he has called me to be. And my home is in him. And I need to press in that space. And I just through the difficult parts of lockdown, when I wasn't doing much, there were just a few things that just helped me quite a lot. And the one by another Thomas Merton, actually. It just says, "My Lord God, I have no idea where I am going. I do not see the road ahead of me. I cannot know for certain where it will end. Nor do I really know myself, and the fact that I think that I am following your will does not mean that I am actually doing so. But I believe that the desire to please you does in fact please you, and I hope I have that desire in all that I am doing. I hope that I will never do anything apart from that desire, and I know that if I do this, you will lead me by the right road, though I may know nothing about it. Therefore I will trust you always, though I may seem to be lost, and in the shadow of death I will not fear, for you are ever with me, and you will never leave me to face my perils alone." So that was the one that really stuck with me about, actually I don't know what God's will for my life is, and I have no idea whether I'm doing it or not. But I'm just walking step by step and trusting and actually embracing joy and choosing to trust and choosing joy every day. And the other one that's really poignant for me is one by an unknown, I think it's by an unknown person, but it just says, "I said to the man who stood at the gate of the year, 'Give me a light that I may tread safely into the unknown.' And he replied, 'Go out into the darkness and put your hand into the hand of God. That shall be to you better than light and safer than any known way.'" And I think those two quotations just at the end just really are prevalent for me. This is only meant to be 10 minutes. I just have one more quick thing to share. I think arriving back and going back into final year at university, I think it's hard to embrace like being back, obviously, but for the future I think my heart is really to go back, and my heart is to serve these children on this village in this space, and so my plan and my hope is that I will be able to get a visa to go back next summer, and be there and be a volunteer and just trust that God will provide the money that I need, God will provide the resources that I need and the skills that I need as well. And I think going into this year, having formed really strong attachments with some of the children and having formed actually great relationships out in South Africa, and that is where my heart is, in South Africa. It's the Serenity Prayer, and it is just this is the last thing that I just want to share with you guys, is God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. And I would love to pray that for all of you over the church, and actually that God would help us to know what we can do and know what we actually can't do, and that we're doing all of this in his own strength anyways. I want to also just thank you for your support and for your love, and for your prayers, even if I was terrible at communicating. I just want to say thank you so much. And yeah, I'm heading back to Bath very soon, but I will for sure be back, and I am forever grateful for the opportunity that I've had. So I hope you guys have a great day, and this is just a little update from me. Cool, bye.